Okay, well, welcome everyone. I think we should get this webinar started here. Thank you for joining us today. I will be co-presenting the Nividous AI Navigator just to see in real time where your AI maturity score stands. My name is Mark Dudley, and I will be co-presenting today with Alan Hester, who is the president of Nividous, and we will be addressing the AI Navigator topic shortly. But before we do, just a few housekeeping things that you should take note of. If you experience any audio or video issues, please use the chat window on the side of your control panel. You can also submit questions via the chat window throughout the webinar. As many questions as we can get to at the end of this presentation, we will get to live. However, if we don't get to your question, that's not going to deter us from answering. We will get back to you via email once the session concludes. And also, too, this session is being recorded, so it is going to be available to you through our website, and that is for you to download and to listen to on your own. So right now, let me pass it over to Alan Hester to get us started with this particular topic. Alan, over to you.
Thanks, Mark. Welcome, everyone. Glad you could join us today. And today, as Mark said, we're going to be talking about an exciting new thing that we have created here at Nividous. Okay, hold on a second. We have a little bit of an echo. Let me see if I can fix that. Okay, let's see if that's any better.
I am not hearing an echo, Alan, just so you know.
Actually, I'm hearing an echo. Hold on one more second. Okay. Thank you for bearing with me as I figure out what I'm doing here. We're using a new webinar tool for the first time this month. So for those of you who have joined us previously, you will notice that things are a little bit different and we're still getting a little bit used to it ourselves. So in any case, thank you again for joining us. We're going to go through the AI Navigator. What the AI Navigator is all about is the fact that as we talk to companies out there, probably like some of yours, there are a lot of them that are trying to figure out what they want to do with AI. And what we're finding is that before you know where to invest, you need to know where you stand. And so it's very important to understand not just what are the latest whiz-bang tools out there and what can they do for you, what do you have in place today, and what's a realistic way forward for you. And so that's the kind of thing that we're going to be showing you today in the AI Navigator that can really be a great help to you, and you'll see that more as we go forward. Just to set the stage a little bit, there are so many statistics that people are throwing around related to AI and what's happening with AI. And I'm sure this will not be news to any of you, but let me just throw a couple of things out there to emphasize just how important this is. HFS research found that 93% of enterprises are not production ready for AI agents. I have been telling just about everyone that I run into that the agent apocalypse is coming, and it doesn't take very high math skills to figure out that if you look at the number of people in your enterprise and you think about the fact that each one of them could have access to a handful to dozens to maybe hundreds of agents themselves, you can easily see how that could all get out of control. And so what that emphasizes to us, and what we have seen our customer and heard our customers talking to us about, is that they want to be very sure before they take those first steps to have a plan in place that will help them to know that they're taking the proper steps in the right direction to get their organization to where it needs to be. And so for most everyone out there, it's not an issue of, should I do this or shouldn't I do this? I think everyone knows that either they should be doing it right now, or they should be doing it very soon, but they just don't know how to proceed. And so the AI Navigator is designed to kind of stand in that gap. The structure of the AI Navigator breaks down your organization's capabilities into 8 different dimensions, and those dimensions are scored from 1 to 5, and those get mapped into 5 maturity stages. And you'll see more about that later when Mark goes through the demo. But one of the things that I want to say up front is that the assessment questions that you will go through with the AI Navigator are not something like what you see in a Facebook quiz or Instagram or something like that, where it takes you a couple minutes to fill it out. You don't have to think about anything. And at the end of it, you get something that's fun, and you can put as a badge on your Facebook page or whatever, but it's not super useful. The output of the AI Navigator is closer to what you would expect when you engage with a high-priced consultant and you ask them to assess where you stand and also come up with a way forward for your organization. And so what you'll see as an output, there's a couple of different ways that you could approach engaging with the AI Navigator, and all of them are free, and the quality of the output depends on the time that you put into it. And so that's why I wanted to kind of emphasize the fact that this is going to take some effort on your part if you want to get a quality output. So you have to take a little bit of time, think through the questions, answer them honestly, put in any extra information that you need or that you think is relevant, because that will all be considered when you get to the point of the advisory. And this will make a little bit more sense to you when you see the output itself, because your results are kind of broken into 2 pieces. There's one that's your assessment itself, which is the scoring based on the numbers, showing you where you stand and where you fit into that 1 through 5 spectrum. But then there's the advisory piece that will highlight bottlenecks, give you a 30, 60, and 90-day roadmap. So the big thing that I wanted to give you as a takeaway for this is that what you get out of it is going to be based on what you put into it. So if you put in a good amount of effort, then you're going to get something that's going to be high quality and useful. So the main thing that we were trying to produce here is giving you something that, unlike a consultant report, which will sometimes just sit on your desk and maybe you show it to a few people, but then you don't really know what to do with it, this is going to be something that's actionable, that will really be able to help you to transform your organization. Okay, so we're going to move on to the demo in just a minute, but a couple other things that I want to cover, just so that when Mark starts showing you things, you don't get confused about it. As I said before, now I hear that echo again for some reason. Is anyone else hearing the echo, or is it just me?
I am not.
I can
Okay.
hear
I
that.
can hear that.
Or even mine too.
Mine too.
Okay. All right. How about now?
Now?
No, I thought it was going for a second. I tried moving my microphone. Maybe that will help. No, it didn't. That's all right. My part's almost done anyway, so I'll turn it over to Mark in a second. Just bear with through the echo while I cover a few things. As I mentioned, there are a few ways to engage with the AI Navigator. They're all free, and you can get the assessment part itself, which is just your ranking and your scoring without giving up any information. You don't have to register on the site, provide an email, provide your name or anything. If you want the advisory itself, which is a much higher value piece, then you will have to register in order to get that, because there is a real expense associated with that, because that actually goes out to, and I'm having a hard time working through this sound. Okay. Hey, that might have done it. Okay, so in order to get the advisory, you just have to enter your email information, and that also gives you the ability to save your progress and go back. So if you can't get to everything in one session, no worries, you could come back and finish everything whenever you have some time. The other thing I wanted to point out is that this isn't a one and done where you just enter in the information and get your report back and that's it. You can come back and you can redo the assessment in the future, and it will show you the progress that you've made since the last one, highlight what the differences are, and it gives you a really useful way to be able to track the progress that you're making over time, and then updating your 30, 60, 90-day plan. The other thing that it will let you do is anonymous benchmarking against other companies that are similar to yours if you choose to opt into that. As I said, all the data will be kept anonymized, so it's not like anyone's going to have any access to your data. But we did make this an opt-in feature so that if you do feel nervous that you don't want your data to get out there in any way, shape, or form, which there should be no possible way for that to happen anyways. But if you want to be really restrictive in terms of control of your data, you can opt out of that, but then you won't have access to the benchmarking data. So the big thing to emphasize, the difference between the maturity number, it's kind of a snapshot in time, but the trend will give you more of a management tool to see where your organization is going. And this is what makes the assessment something worth doing, not just one time, but potentially multiple times as you're going forward. One other thing to highlight here, there is an AI Stride framework that we have built on with the AI Navigator. That's something that you could look into separately if you're interested in that. We're using the 3 dimensions from AI Stride and then building on top of that 5 extra dimensions so that your reports will be even more detailed than what you would get just with AI Stride itself. But you also have access to the AI Stride report so that if you want to use that in some way because you're benchmarking or using that in other organizations in different ways, you can still do that. So that's kind of an option in your results to look at the AI Stride results versus the AI Navigator results. So I think we'll leave it right there for now and let Mark get into the demo itself. Go ahead, Mark.
Okay, so I'm going to be building on what Alan was talking about and just make this a little bit more concrete in terms of what you'll be seeing. This is the landing page for the AI Navigator. As you see, there are opportunities to log in. There's opportunities to kind of take a look at the AI Navigator versus the Open AI Stride framework. But starting your assessment is obviously the way to go with this. What we did was we started this assessment with a company that we're calling Meridian Health. And Meridian Health is a healthcare company. It's fairly large. It's a mid-sized company. And I'm playing the role as an IT or operations manager. Now, they're all in on the Microsoft framework here, everything from Azure down to the Fabric Data Warehouse. But the additional context is something that's going to be extremely important and something that is going to unlock a lot of the value of the report, as Alan had mentioned. Excuse me. And so as much information as you can add in this additional context, that is going to tailor the report and the results to your organization and make it something a little bit more than a generic report for you. And then there's additional information down here. So when you hit continue after all of that, you will be walked screen by screen through the different dimensions that AI Navigator is going to be assessing. And so here you'll be able to select the position or the maturity that your organization is in right now. You can add comments as well. And again, the more comments you add, the more reflective it is of reality, above and beyond answering the questions, the more tailored the report is going to be, and it's going to speak directly to your organization and to your company. Okay, so as much as interesting as it would be to watch me click through all these screens, let me go to the report itself and show you some of the highlights as to what you can expect out of this report. Again, this report is from Meridian Health, and it is a healthcare company. Now, you may not be part of a healthcare company, but if you just kind of take a look at the structure of the report and the information that it can present, I think that would be just the best way to kind of look at this. The first thing you'll notice is that there is a composite maturity score that Meridian Health has received. Now, those composite scores are interesting, but the real value lies in the 8 dimensions that this particular organization has been scored against. You'll notice that reasoning and collaboration, Meridian Health is very high in those. Reasoning kind of measures AI's use of context and how it can be involved in decision support. Collaboration measures how AI is working across various people, across various systems, databases, etc. So they score pretty high there. What they don't score high in comparison to the composite score is under action, infrastructure, and governance. Now, from an action standpoint, action is AI working independently within a particular governance framework. So if governance is scoring a little low, action is going to be scoring a little low as well, because when AI is working, we want to make sure that is orchestrated, that is governed in the best way possible. And you'll see why later on in the report. And again, the infrastructure is kind of lagging with Meridian Health as well. But the report makes a special emphasis on the infrastructure. It basically says, hey, listen, all your infrastructure is there. It's just not being leveraged for the AI work that you're doing now and the AI work that you want to do in the future. Now, when we're looking at this particular governance status for Meridian Health, you'll notice that there are some risks that are being inherited because of the lack of governance. Now, going down into some of the details of the report, you'll notice that Meridian has AI agents that are running in production for 6 months, and they have not had a formalized risk review yet. And in fact, the report calls out a radiology image triage process that could run afoul of some HIPAA standards. And also, too, there's a resume screening process that might be impacted by certain EEOC regulations from a state level. So again, not having that governance and specifying that there's already pilots and there's already AI work that's being done in production, that's going to highlight these risks. So to Alan's point, as much information as you can put into this AI assessment, as much information as the AI Navigator has, that's going to highlight specific areas of opportunity for you to shore up different deficiencies within your maturity score. And the same thing can be sent from the same can be sent with the action dimension. Here, the action dimension is talking about Meridian's appetite for artificial intelligence is way faster than it can control and repeat the success that the AI solutions and that it's all having. And that is not unusual. We see that a lot with customers, given the diffuse nature of these tools and the accessibility of them. We often see governance lagging behind when that action is being taken. And again, from an infrastructure standpoint, you'll notice that there's plenty of capability. There's just a lack of focus and emphasis on using that infrastructure for their AI projects. Okay, so that's all of what Alan was talking about in terms of, okay, this is the score and this is why we're scoring you this way. The real value from AI Navigator comes when you're talking about this 90-day roadmap. And it's a very, very impressive piece of information, because every action on this roadmap ties back to a specific score and even a specific named system within the report. That's why that specificity is crucial. So for example, in days 0 through 30, the first thing for this advisory is saying, hey, listen, you need to figure out what you have running in production. This is calling it an AI discovery amnesty, where you need to get a hold and a handle on all of the AI activities that are happening, whether they're in pilot or in production, because what that's going to do is that's obviously going to give you a baseline and understand, okay, what are we going to need to focus on from a risk standpoint, from a governance standpoint, even from an infrastructure standpoint, as we move forward, because you want this to be as efficient and as controlled as possible as you're moving through. And then again, it recommends, okay, let's have a risk review board with some accountable members, whether it's a CISO or IT operations, or maybe somebody in revenue cycle or HR, just so that these initiatives, because they're wide sweeping in nature and they bridge different departments, let's get these different departments involved in this risk review board so that we can make sure that we're managing that. And then again, the report did manage to uncover some risks that were very, very acute, that needed to be addressed very, very quickly. So again, that day 0 through 30 plan is something that is fully executable, and again, it's something that you would expect out of a consultant arrangement or relationship moving forward. And then obviously there are days 31 through 60, days 61 through 90 that you can kind of take a look at that roadmap and lay the foundation for addressing those issues as you're moving along. Now, the last thing I really want to emphasize is the AI Navigator is an excellent tool for a snapshot of where your company is or where your department is in terms of AI maturity. Another one of its strengths is, as you're working with the Navigator, you can continually come back to it and make sure that you are moving in the right direction. So for example, if there's like shadow AI situations and solutions that are out there, you want to see a decrease of those opportunities or those opportunities for risk and non-governance. You want to see a decrease in those moving forward. So the snapshot is important, but that trend moving in the right direction is something that's going to allow you to assess how capable your efforts are in increasing your maturity and getting a handle on what's happening organizationally wide. Okay, so I just wanted to kind of walk you through that, and it's an exciting tool that we use with our customer engagements, and it's something that I think will be of great value to you moving forward. So, Alan, I just want to hand it back over to you.
Thanks, Mark. So, a couple of things to keep in mind. I know that many of you, like me, might be skeptical of a thing like this, and you might think to yourself, oh, well, this is great, but this is just a sales tool that these guys are using. They want to use this as a way to get engaged with me, and somehow it's going to be a bait and switch type thing where it's going to turn into a sales thing. And that is definitely not our intention here at all. As I said earlier, we've talked to a lot of companies that are struggling with this, and this is our way to help them find a way forward. There are just so many things out there that are competing for your attention, and it's very hard to find something that's not biased. And so what we've tried to do with the AI Navigator is to provide something that if you're willing to put the work in, you're going to get a really quality output that's also going to be actionable for you. So one of the things that we're doing in conjunction with this webinar and with the AI4 event that is coming up next week, we are, let me just reshare this so we can go to this page. One of the things that we were worried about is that people will go to this AI Navigator and they'll think, well, this is great, but I don't really know how to answer these questions. I'm not sure what they're looking for here. And if that is a struggle for you, one of the things that we're offering as a special for our launch of this tool is that we will give you the ability to, rather than trying to sort through this whole thing yourself, you can set up an hour-long session with one of our trained AI experts that can walk you through the process of being able to gather the information to get your assessment done. Now, one of the things I want to point out is that this is not you get on with someone and they're just going to read to you the same questions that are on the screen, and it's just like you were doing it yourself anyway. That's not the way that this is structured. You're just going to have a conversation with someone, and at the end of it, that assessment will be created in the same way that it would be if you had gone through and filled out all the answers yourself. But it has the added benefit of, since you're talking to someone who has done this before and kind of knows what they're doing, they will be able to read between the lines of what you're saying and be able to emphasize different things that gets included into the assessment that will give you a much higher quality output than what you would have had if you had done it on your own. So the intention is to make it easier for more people to do this. This is something that we're offering for free as part of this launch. You can go to the AI Navigator site and you can set up a time. There's only a limited number of hours available to do this because we only have a set number of people that are dedicated to leading these sessions. We want to make sure that you are getting you're working with someone who knows what they're talking about. And this is not a call center. These are not people who don't know what they're talking about. These are people who will be very familiar with the technology and will be able to walk you through this in a very good way. And, we don't know that in every case it will take a full hour to do this, but we're saying to dedicate an hour to it just to make sure that all of the information can be captured and you will get a high quality output. So if you go to the AI Navigator site, you can get that set up now if that's interesting to you, or you can go through it on your own, either way. And in any case, as we've said multiple times now, the whole thing is free, and you don't even really have to register if you don't want to save your progress or if you don't want the advisory portion of the results. If you want to do it as a trial, you can just get the assessment results first and see how that looks, and then later go back and do the advisory piece. It's completely up to you. And if you need any help with it, as I said, you can set up these face-to-face human sessions in order to do that. So I know that we're right at our time now. Let me just check to see if we have any live questions here. It doesn't look like we do have any live questions. I thought that we had a QR code that we're showing on the screen that would point you right to the link itself, but it doesn't look like we do have that. But if you go to actually, let me see if any of these pages have the URL. No, they do not. All right, so what we will do is
Alan,
we will provide you the link to it in a follow-up email so that you know how to get there. You're all smart people. I'm sure you can figure out how to get there. It's just ai-navigator.nividous.com. But we don't want you to be guessing, so we'll try to send that out to everyone too, so that you have all of the information that you need to be able to get to the site and take advantage of this. And as I said before, if you want to take advantage of the special offer, you can do that too. So before we wrap it up, Mark, anything else we missed?
I think we're good to go.
Okay. Well, we appreciate your time and attention for joining us today, and feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions. Also, please reach out to us and let us know your feedback. We have not rolled this tool out to the public at large, so we're interested to see what you think of it, if there are ways that it could be improved. We would love to hear from you on that. We've done a lot of internal testing, and we've done a few select tests with people we know outside, but we would really welcome additional input on the tool and how it might be made better and more useful to you. So thanks again for joining, and we'll see you next time.